from the Mercy One studio.
Support for Faith on Trial and Iowa Catholic Radio provided in part by Imogene Ingredients.
Our freedom of conscience and religion is being challenged by laws and regulations imposed by secular society. It's time to hear from the top Christian litigators in the nation who have come forward to tell us the truth and help us defend our faith.
Hear ye, hear ye. All rise. Faith on Trial with Defender of the Faith, Deacon Mike Mano, is in session.
And good Thursday morning from the Mercy One Studios in West Des Moines. I'm Deacon Mike Mano. I'm here with Gina Knoll, my friend, sitting across the table from me. How are you, Gina?
I'm well. It's good to be with you this morning.
Yes.
Things are springing outside. A lot of green showing up as on my drive in this morning.
Yeah. I'm actually starting to get a little bit of green in my backyard that was all torn up, and we've been seeding and reseeding.
It'll be interesting to see your backyard after one of the station sponsors or supporters.
Well, they did the landscaping.
Yard.
Yes, mm-hmm. They did a very good job at it. But we also had some trees taken down, and so we were left with a bare yard. And so we've seeded it, and it's starting to come up a little bit now. So we'll see in another couple of weeks how well it looks, and maybe we'll have to put another thing of fertilizer, seed and fertilizer
Will you
down
put
to get
another
it come
tree
up.
in?
No
more trees.
No. It was a problem. That was the problem with our backyard, was we had enough trees there that it was killing all the grass. And then we had dogs running around at it. Now the dogs are gone, but the trees are gone now too. So maybe we'll get some grass back there.
It's
and
a
have
big
nice
renewal in the backyard
that
of Deacon
is,
Mike
that
Mano.
That is, and we're waiting for somebody to come and clean and paint the deck now too. So we're getting ready to have a nice little oasis out there in our backyard where we can go out and do other things out there besides look out at bare ground. And
well, that's excellent, and hopefully soon you can have more people over to enjoy.
That's right. Well, we'll have you and John over for a barbecue.
There you go.
There. Yeah, that'll be fine.
We would love that.
That'll be fine.
So how was your Easter?
Well, it was relaxing, because the lead up to Easter, we were doing the holy hours with benediction every Tuesday night, and Kevin Heim, the other deacon, and I were switching off. I would do it one week and he would assist me, and then the next week he would do it and I would assist him. So starting last week, we started again with Tuesday night doing the benediction. Then, of course, Thursday night we had the Mass of Holy Thursday. And then we went to the Good Friday service, then went to the Easter Vigil. Then I had the 8 o'clock Mass Easter morning, which was nice because then I was done. I had nothing further to do, and I was able to relax and just sit back and veg for a while.
That's good.
Yeah, that was kind of nice. Now, of course, we're getting back into a normal routine this week. But
our 50 days of Easter have started, and I'm hoping everyone is enjoying their time after.
That's something that we want to think about a little bit. We're in Easter time now. We're going to be celebrating Easter for, as you say, the 50 days here,
right.
and that's important. It's an important liturgical point in the church year, and it should be an important point in our hearts too. That this is what it's about. This is everything that our faith is about. Is in that Easter Sunday, that resurrection, and so we celebrate it as we do for as long as we do till we get to the Ascension. But yeah,
and I love the readings this time of the season, so this will be good. And then following that, we have the men's conference. Are you all signed up for that May 22nd?
Yeah, I've not signed up for it yet, but let's see. I had the thing here. Yeah, the Catholic Men's Conference is May 22nd at the Embassy Suites downtown, starting with the Mass at 7 a.m. Speakers include Gary Dolphin and Tim Jameson, and it's hosted by Joe Stopoulos. That's it, and John Leonetti.
Very good. You can't ask for a better program.
No, that will be a good program. And they used to have a men's program out at St. Francis all the time. They were always good, and I think this is a successor to that.
Is it?
Yeah, I think
so.
Well,
maybe
of course, everything has been so disrupted because nothing happened last year.
That's right.
All these things were canceled.
So you can't remember what.
Well, I can't remember what happened yesterday, so I'm. We got an interesting show today. We're going to talk to Georgia Howe, who's from she writes for the Daily Wire.
Okay.
And she has a story about this graphic sexual content in the curriculum of a Texas school district. And parents are complaining about that, so we'll talk to her about that. And that's going to be an antacid one. So you got a bottle of antacids around.
Because I imagine it's not an isolated case.
No, it's not an isolated case. We've had several like it before. And then Mark McDougal, who's the executive director of Ruth Harbor Ministries, is going to join us for the second part of the program, talk about what's going on with Ruth Harbor. And for those who don't know what Ruth Harbor is, he's going to tell us. And so we'll do that.
We look forward to that because we as a community are glad to have a program like Ruth Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned to find out more about it.
Yeah, that maybe will calm people down after the antacid thing.
It's a feel-good
it's a feel-good part of the program. All right.
Glad to have him.
All right, do you have a prayer to open us up with?
I do. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. God of peace, bring your peace to our violent world, peace in the hearts of all men and women, and peace among the nations of this earth. Turn to your way of love those whose hearts and minds are consumed with hatred. Strengthen us in hope and give us the wisdom and courage to work tirelessly for a world where true peace and love reign among nations and in the hearts of all. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Gina. And we will be right back in about 3 minutes with Georgia Howe from the Daily Wire. You're listening to Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and John Leonetti in the Morning is provided by Blessman International. Blessman International partners with volunteers and donors to provide sustainable programs for children in South Africa by leading a 12-day, all-inclusive experience sharing the heart of Christ with vulnerable children in South Africa. Teams are forming to do something significant in an African child's life. Learn more at blessmaninternational.org. That's blessmaninternational.org. Thank you, Blessman International, for your support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and the Uncommon Good provided by Mercy College of Health Sciences, where you can chart your course for more.
This is Bo Bonner.
And I'm Dr. Bud Marr from the Uncommon Good.
Mercy College provides unparalleled clinical rotations, hands-on learning, accelerated education, and flexible schedules. Since 1899, Mercy College has been transforming students into healthcare professionals. Guided by Catholic values, our faculty put classroom theory into practice. Students are prepared for roles in service and leadership throughout their own careers.
Learn more at mchs.edu.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and John Leonetti in the Morning provided by Bell Construction.
Bell Construction is a roofing company. They specialize in residential re-roofs, light commercial jobs, and have the experience to meet all of your roofing needs with personal service. With Bell Construction, the owner will come to your home or place of business in person to inspect and ensure the quality of work that you deserve. They pride themselves in working with you on a personal basis and making sure you are satisfied. Bell Construction, 515-963-4494. Bell Construction.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Dowling Catholic Sports is provided in part by Ashworth Vision Clinic. With 2 licensed optometrists, Barbara Sheets, a Dowling graduate, and Dr. Craig Harper, the Ashworth Vision Clinic team provides complete eye exams, contact lenses, glasses, glaucoma testing, and pre- and post-operative care. Ashworth Vision Clinic is located at 60th and Ashworth in West Des Moines. 515-440-4610 or online, ashworthvision.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Catholic Women Now provided in part by Permar Security, providing security solutions for homes and businesses since 1953. Permar Security is a Catholic-owned family business supplying security systems, access control systems, video surveillance, fire alarm systems, and video doorbells. All alarm systems are monitored out of their monitoring center located in the state of Iowa. Permar Security, 515-244-5660, permarsecurity.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Faith on Trial provided by Paul Martin and Paul Mitchell, owners of Imogene Ingredients. Imogene Ingredients supply specialized feed ingredients for livestock and pet diets to improve maternal and young animal health in both conventional and organic production. And we're back. You're listening to Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio, and we have with us right now Georgia Howe, who is with the Daily Wire. Georgia, how are you this morning?
Hi, great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, certainly. For our listeners that are not familiar with the Daily Wire, and you also do something with, it's called, I guess, office hours as part of PragerU. Why don't you explain to our listeners what they are and how they can find those on the Internet?
Great, yeah. So Daily Wire is a right-leaning media company. We were started by Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring, and we put out news as well as YouTube shows, like news shows. And my show at Daily Wire is called Office Hours, and I do short interviews, about 10 to 15 minutes, with PragerU video hosts. So PragerU is an organization with Dennis Prager, and it attempts to teach young people about conservative principles. And every week they put out a video about a certain concept, and they'll have an expert guest, and then I interview that guest as part of Office Hours.
Very good. And that's all at dailywire.com, I think.
Yes, it is.
All right. We wanted to talk to you today about a story you wrote about some sexual content in a school curriculum in, I guess it's Leander Independent School District in Austin.
Texas, yes.
Leander's that I'm mispronouncing everything all the time. I'm mispronouncing my own name sometimes. But anyway, Leander Independent School District in Austin, Texas. I think I got Texas right.
That's correct. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and what the rub is out there on this?
Sure. So it was August of 2020. Students returned to school. These are 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th, and 12th grade. And they were given a book list of 15 books. Each grade had a different set of 15 books, and they were allowed to choose books from that list as part of their book club to discuss in class. So the students would choose from these books, and then they would break up into small groups and discuss the books in class. And of these books, there were several that included extreme sexual content. For example, one book called In the Dream House is actually tagged as adult on Goodreads.com. So anyway, the students were pretty embarrassed, some of them in class, because they were reading about really explicit sexual content. I mean, things like, detailed depictions of gang rape, strap-on sex toys, molestation, masturbation, child rape, along with a lot of copious teen drug use, alcohol, and really foul language, beyond just four-letter words that you might hear in like a pornographic video. So the parents found out about this, and they went to the school board. This was in November of 2020, and the parents complained to the school board about this content because they kind of took a peek at it and they weren't informed about it. And so let me know if you want to cut in at all.
No, I heard
more.
Gina chuckle over here, and
I'm
she
gasping,
is
actually. Sorry,
I'm the mother of two daughters. So
I'll read you a little excerpt. I don't even want to offend your guests or your listeners.
That's the other thing.
You can bleep it out if you want.
I'm wondering how far we go with what these children were exposed to. I read the article, and I was wondering how this interview might go because some of the language is over the top.
Yes, I would. Yeah, I would be a little uncomfortable reading it to your listeners who might not be comfortable with it, but rest assured, it is really inappropriate. But there's actually a lot more to this story. So the parents went to
the parents' reaction to this,
meeting. Yes. So the parents went to the school board meeting in November, and they brought up their concerns. And you would think, I read some of these passages, you'd think, having read these passages, the board members would be really mortified that this stuff passed through to these kids. But unfortunately, you would think that they would really be sympathetic to these parents. But unfortunately, some teachers at the school formed a protest against these parents, and they kind of roped in some students, and they ended up kind of heckling the parents as racist, bigots, homophobes, and religious zealots. So they really give the parents a hard time.
Yeah, and some of the comments that you had in your story, which we can't air on the radio, were from emails that were circulated by this teachers group.
Yes. That was an email that was circulated by the parents and that was sent to me. You mean the one that included the passages?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, and then there was also another aspect of some of the parents who stood up to speak. They ended up receiving sort of threatening contents sent to their homes. So several of the parents received cardboard penises with Christian iconography on them. So, for example, there was like a cardboard penis that had a crown of thorns, and it said, "He has risen." Mm-hmm. There was another one that, along with some other filthy language, said something like, "I hope this calms your fear-mongering, you book-hating Philistine." So it was very explicitly Christian, and these were cardboard penises that were mailed anonymously to these parents' houses. And there's also reports that dead animals were placed on some porches, but I don't have photographic evidence of that at this point.
So in other words, the other side went really overboard to defend their book selection, yes. I guess, yeah.
Yes, so they made some T-shirts that had the hashtag Let Us Read on it, and they framed it as a censorship issue. So their defense was, or what they were claiming, is that these parents didn't want the kids to read the books because the books primarily included diverse characters. So, for example, LGBT characters, non-white characters, which is, according to these parents, not an accurate characterization at all of their position. They said, we don't care at all if it's LGBT characters. We don't care if the characters are not white. We just don't want explicit sexual content.
Which is the battle cry these days, it sounds like anyway, or feels like it when you watch the news, to say the bigotry, and the conversation ends.
You're a racist or a homophobe or whatever it is.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. So it went exactly like that. So these parents were basically just like, hey, no, we just don't want porn in the classroom, you know?
Right.
And they were slandered for all kinds of bigotry names.
And in defense of the parents, I do know that exposing children at that age to that kind of material is inappropriate in so many ways, except that their brain has not developed yet to the point where they can even logically understand what it is they're seeing, and can cause all kinds of problems for them and their relationships moving forward.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, one of the parents brought up that there's an epidemic of pornography addiction among young men. I mean, it is like reaching staggering levels. Like I've heard some studies quoted over 90% of these adolescent boys are looking at pornographic content every day. And if you read some of these passages, which I wish I could, it's just like, you know.
No, you cannot. We don't give you permission for that.
Right, exactly. You know, it is, there's no way for people to read this without having some really complex feelings. I mean, it's explicit play-by-play descriptions of sexual acts. Like, there's no other way I can describe it.
And it's disordered. I mean, bottom line.
This is not a passionate newly married couple. Let me put it that way.
Right.
You know,
right.
These are,
and children need so many more examples of the truth and normalcy, and this just isn't it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say as an adult, I was uncomfortable reading the passages.
Too.
There were some that I couldn't get through. Yes. And so
I'm blushing here just listening to you talk about it.
Yes.
Now,
I mean, the idea that a child, you know, during their formative years, who has presumably no sexual experiences, would be exposed to this stuff and need to somehow integrate it. I mean, it's mind-boggling that any adult thought this was an okay idea.
And what's even worse is that the parents took the side of the books and the pornography.
Some of them, yes.
And the way they did, and egged on apparently by some of the teachers.
Backed up by the teachers, right.
Mm-hmm. I actually viewed the board meeting on YouTube. It's available to watch. And I will say the teachers sort of put forth a very compelling argument about, it's diverse backgrounds, and like these are complex topics that kids may, you know, need to like start processing, because you may not think that your kid is involved in an abusive relationship. It's possible they are. And what never really happened in these meetings is I think a lot of parents maybe didn't realize the extent of how explicit these passages were. I think a lot of them maybe were sold this idea that by these teachers that, it's a gay relationship. That's what they're upset about. And they didn't actually read the passages to see what, explicitly was being said.
How it described gay sex, yeah.
So
now, go ahead, Gina.
So I read that the parents are feeling frustrated. They don't know where to turn at this point. What happens next?
Well, they just most recently on March 25th had another board meeting where they decided to pull the books. So initially the school district claims that they pulled the books while a review was being done, but several parents as well as teachers in the district have reached out to me, and I've spoken to them directly about this, and they've said, no, in fact, there was never a directive given to teachers to pull the books from the classrooms. So even though the parents were appeased by this statement, the books were, in fact, still used. And then about 6 months later, there was this second board meeting about it on March 25th, and at that time, they made a definitive instruction that the books would be removed, and the parents I spoke to confirmed with teachers that the books were removed. So 9 months or 8 months into the school year, they did make a little progress in that regard. But after this review process, I think a lot of them are worried that the same people who selected the books are the ones doing the review process, and that some of them are still going to slip through.
And that excuse me, the school board apparently has no qualms about lying to the parents.
Yes, that's the other concern, is that they felt they were not transparent throughout. And I won't include allegations that I've heard since. I've had teachers reach out to me and tell me that there were instances, that things were not completely transparent, that they were afraid to come out and talk about it. I don't want to, mention things on air that I can't confirm. But, there's a lot of reason to believe that the district was not fully transparent.
This reminds me.
I think that's how. Yeah.
I was going to say, this reminds me a little bit about a story we had a couple months ago. I guess it was in. Gina, correct me if my memory is off. Milwaukee or Madison. So it was someplace up in Wisconsin where the school district was allowing kids to identify as the opposite gender, the opposite sex during the day if they wanted to. They'd call them by, they call a little boy by Susie or whatever
Madison,
it was.
Yeah.
It was Madison, was it?
And the teachers weren't allowed to talk to the parents about it.
Yeah, they weren't allowed to tell the parents about it, and they'd call the kid by whatever pronoun was appropriate by their gender selection. And they kept the parents in the dark. They were forbidden to talk to the parents. Obviously, when you tell a kid, don't tell these to your parents, somebody's going to squeal. Right. and that's what happened, and they all got caught. But it seems to me that a lot of this stuff is going on in schools around the country where you have parents being kept in the dark about what the kids are being taught or what is said in school, and the things that the parents would object to. And then when parents do object to it, then the school board or whoever puts up this faux front that says, oh, we're going to correct all this stuff, and they never really do.
Oh, absolutely. And what you're mentioning actually is codified in law in California. So, for example, I'm not sure if it's what document it's in, but they discuss something that's called spiritual abuse. So there's physical abuse, emotional abuse. Now they've added spiritual abuse. And the way they justify not disclosing to parents if a child is LGBT in some capacity, for example, goes by different pronouns at school, the way they justify not telling the parent is they say that it's spiritual abuse if the parent's religious beliefs somehow pressure the child into not identifying as their true gender. So I know there of one case in California where it was an autistic child who was not functionally, he's not expected ever to be, living independently. He's low functionality, but he began identifying as a girl at school, and the parents didn't find out about it for months later, and they were really distraught about the fact that the school kept this from them, especially because their child is autistic and needs, a lot of support. And these were very involved parents who felt like the school made active measures to prevent them from finding out this information. And the school basically told them, we're, quote, mandated reporters of abuse. And they cited religious or spiritual abuse.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll have to look that one up.
Family.
Yeah. Because you can imagine the damage that's done to a child that's told, well, you're a she while you're here in school, but when you go home, you're a he, and don't tell your parents that we're doing this. Or this boy out in California. Yeah, that's abuse.
Right. Well, I used to be a teacher. I'm a former teacher. I taught 7th grade math for Memphis City in 2010, 2011, 2012. And I used to explicitly always tell kids, if any adult ever tells you, don't tell your parents about this, you go tell your parents about that. Like, no adult should tell you, don't talk to your parents about this. You know,
well, now we know why you're not teaching anymore.
Maybe I should be, you know.
Yeah, that sounds like it's almost a firing offense anymore.
Yeah. So, well, you know, the sad part is there are a lot of conservative teachers who are kind of hiding in the shadows. And
right.
They are totally silent. And there's, I just wrote a piece about this in Virginia. There are courses that they have to take, and this is actually quite common. I just know for a fact it's Virginia because they sent me artifacts that they say explicitly you have to undergo these courses and earn a, quote, badge in, you know, cultural competency or whatever it is in order to be eligible for hiring and in order to be eligible for promotion into administration. So you have to kind of toe the line and at least participate in these trainings, but realistically you need to kind of vocalize that you're supportive of them in order to get a job and maintain your job.
Yeah, cancel culture works a number of different ways, yeah.
Yeah. So I know I just look back on my teacher peers. I can't imagine any of them being okay with this stuff. Any of them. But, you know,
go along to get along.
Right.
And people worry about their pension. They worry about,
Certainly.
you know, losing their job and just being smeared. You know, you don't want to be the focus of a student protest because, you know, teachers can quickly turn students against other teachers, other adults, their parents, anyone.
Yeah, obviously there's an agenda going on here, and we're left out in the cold on it other than when things like this surface and we can know a little bit about what's going on.
Right. And
yeah,
like I say, it's hard to do what we do because you can't unknow what you now know, and it's very difficult to see society making these terrible decisions in the name of our children.
Yeah, and you know what's kind of, there's two things I'll say. One is these teachers really mean the best. That's the really hard piece is there's no malice, you know. People just have really different ideas of what's best for kids, and some of these people really, really buy into the ideology, you know, specifically some of the LGBT or more recently the trans stuff. They really buy in and they really are feeling like they need to protect their students from their parents who may be religious or more conservative. So that's how you get this like very passionate, passionate activism on the part of the teachers is they have this sort of mother hen love for their students. It's just directed in a way that's not compatible with, you know, how a lot of conservative parents want to raise their kids.
Well, kudos to the parents for stepping
It's
forward.
a liberal mindset, too,
yes.
that you have to think the same way we do. Because if you don't, obviously there's something wrong with you.
Right. And the other piece I will mention that I've learned, especially in the past few months of reporting on this stuff, is the way this stuff sneaks in is really, really, really insidious and sneaky. So it's always like, it'll be like a little change here, a little change there, and sort of acclimate people to a new standard, and then you kind of like swoop in with like the next layer. So the best example of it is in the curriculums. This is a really sneaky thing. In the curriculums, you'll have all the standards will be written in sort of vague language that vaguely mentions things like equity and diversity, things that parents are not going to really complain about because, you know, how are you going to complain specifically about the word diversity without looking like a jerk, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it seems sort of benign words like equity, you know, inclusion.
Well, you know, equity is a loaded word.
Benign word.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But then the really sneaky thing is, so those, you know, curriculum documents have to be vetted by committees and they're viewable online. But what aren't vetted by committees and what isn't necessarily easily accessible to parents is the third-party websites that they use. And when you look at a lot of these school curriculums, you'll see that they link out to third-party websites for a lot of their lessons. And specifically, I noticed this in the California ethnic studies curriculum that's being rolled out in the next
year yeah, where they're going to be chanting to the Pagan gods, yeah.
that one. I noticed in several of the studies they would link out to websites like one is tolerance.org, I think. One of them is, off the top of my head it's hard. But you go to these actual third-party links and you see things like maybe we need to rethink the Constitution, like history, like 1619 Project, all these third-party things that wouldn't have passed muster, with the legitimate community vetting process, but kind of get snuck in as a Trojan horse.
Yeah. Well, we've got our work cut out for us if we want to combat all of this, and that's why we have this program. That's why you do what you do, and hopefully we can get the word out there where we can make parents a little bit wiser about what's going on, and maybe they can look a little bit deeper into what their children are getting in school. Georgia, we have to stop it right now because we're out of time, but we certainly appreciate you joining us today, and we'll follow up with you and see what else is going on and have you back sometime. But that's at thedailywire.com. We can find you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today, Georgia Howell from the Daily Wire. This is Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio, and Gina and I will be back in about 3 minutes after these messages with Mark McDougal from Ruth Harbor Ministries.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and the Uncommon Good provided by Mercy College of Health Sciences, where you can chart your course for more.
This is Bo Bonner.
And I'm Dr. Bud Marr from the Uncommon Good.
Mercy College provides unparalleled clinical rotations, hands-on learning, accelerated education, and flexible schedules. Since 1899, Mercy College has been transforming students into healthcare professionals. Guided by Catholic values, our faculty put classroom theory into practice. Students are prepared for roles in service and leadership throughout their own careers.
Learn more at mchs.edu.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and John Lee and Eddie in the Morning provided by Bell Construction.
Bell Construction is a roofing company. They specialize in residential re-roofs, light commercial jobs, and have the experience to meet all of your roofing needs with personal service. With Bell Construction, the owner will come to your home or place of business in person to inspect and ensure the quality of work that you deserve. They pride themselves in working with you on a personal basis and making sure you are satisfied. Bell Construction, 515-963-4494. Bell Construction.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Dowling Catholic Sports is provided in part by Ashworth Vision Clinic. With 2 licensed optometrists, Barbara Sheets, a Dowling graduate, and Dr. Craig Harper, the Ashworth Vision Clinic team provides complete eye exams, contact lenses, glasses, glaucoma testing, and pre- and post-operative care. Ashworth Vision Clinic is located at 60th and Ashworth in West Des Moines. 515-440-4610 or online, ashworthvision.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Catholic Women Now provided in part by Permar Security, providing security solutions for homes and businesses since 1953. Permar Security is a Catholic-owned family business supplying security systems, access control systems, video surveillance, fire alarm systems, and video doorbells. All alarm systems are monitored out of their monitoring center located in the state of Iowa. Permar Security, 515-244-5660, permarsecurity.com.
Thank you, Dental Associates, for underwriting Dowling Catholic Sports 365. With over 40 years' experience, Dental Associates is a group dental practice with the mission of promoting optimum health and well-being to all patients, providing preventative, restorative, and cosmetic dentistry for the entire family. Message underwritten by Dr. Kenton Gleichman, Dr. Steve Karbaka, and Dr. Ben Nagel. Dental Associates, addressing your smile, needs, and dreams. Online at DesMoines-DentalAssociates.com.
Here's your forecast on Iowa Catholic Radio. We'll stay cloudy today. We may get a few light rain showers with low pressure still over our area. We'll be in the upper 50s for the afternoon high. A better chance of rain overnight with our low in the upper 40s, and then a few showers tomorrow morning. Cloudy in the afternoon, windy in low 60s. The weather is brought to you by Divine Treasures, a Catholic book and gift store serving the Des Moines community for over 25 years. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton on Iowa Catholic Radio.
And welcome back. You're listening to Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio, and we are on right now with Mark McDougal, who is the Executive Director of Ruth Harbor Ministries. Mark, how are you this morning?
Sure, what's your number?
Okay. Mark's connection is not complete yet, so we'll talk a little bit waiting for him. Gina, you're familiar with Ruth Harbor.
I am, because it's in the neighborhood of St. Augustine.
Right, it's right
parish.
across the street from
That's
us, right?
That's right, and it I don't know exactly how old but it feels like it's been there at least 10, 15 years.
It's been there for a while, as long as I've been there.
And I remember the fundraising to get it started. They took an old home that was on the corner of somewhere between Grand Avenue and Ingersoll and renovated it. And
yeah, I think we have Mark with us now. Mark?
That's true. You do.
All right. Yeah, we're giving your history here. So.
Maybe you can give us a better description of.
There's a lot
Ruth
of people that are listening to us right now that maybe have not heard of Ruth Harbor or what it does. So if you can kind of give us a little bit of, your little elevator speech about
I would love
who you
to do
are
that.
and what you do.
The history you gave was accurate, and you didn't lie about me or anything, Mike, on the radio.
Well, that's coming up,
Oh. Well, Ruth Harbor was the idea of Ruth Harbor was from 3 young women in our community here in Des Moines who really felt God calling them to do this. They each were individually called. They found out about each other and immediately set out on the path to open a home to help young women who have experienced an unplanned pregnancy. Well, it took about 5 years from idea to actually opening the doors. And when that happened, it was 2001. And so we are now just approaching, in this next month, our 20th year anniversary. So we're very excited about what has happened over the years. And we, of course, became what we call a maternity home, ran that way for many years. We began to realize that many of the young women we were helping, if they came to us, stayed with us, we helped them back on their feet, they still were really not ready to be independent, not to be on their own when they left us. So we decided, an unplanned pregnancy can really last more than 9 months. So we began what's called the Mother-Child Program. And we opened a second home, and now women can stay for up to a year and a half after the baby's born. And many women actually find out about us, are impacted by their pregnancy, and come to us after the baby's born, because that's maybe when they lose their housing or when they realize that they've hit bottom and need some help.
Yeah, and I remember
There's the thumbnail sketch.
Yeah, I remember a lot of people were coming to you, a lot of girls were coming to you because they had nowhere else to go. A lot of times parents threw them out of the house and they found out about a pregnancy.
Or the boyfriend.
Or the boyfriend does not have anything to do with them now. Right, yeah.
So it's specifically
there's no doubt
for women who are pregnant or who have small children. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Okay. That is exactly right. And we serve young women up through about age 25. We do make exceptions to that on occasion, but we focus on the young women that are of that age group. And, I think one of the most important things, those people that are in a pro-life mindset or a position are often accused of only talking about it or only trying to convince everybody to their viewpoint. And Ruth Harbor is the backyard, neighborhood, grassroots response to the abortion issue by saying, we're going to do something for you. We're not going to just try and save the baby. We want to save the young woman. We want to help her get back on her feet. We want her to be able to be a family, to be a contributing member of society, not just to save a baby, though I don't want to minimize that. It's huge. It's important.
All right.
We want
to saving two lives,
demonstrate
really.
our faith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right, Jeannie. Saving 2 lives while he's doing this.
They debated at the Iowa legislature this week the SJR2, which is really an administrative kind of law, but it was related to, they felt like they needed to have a constitutional amendment specifically outlawing abortion. So the debate was around abortion, and continually the people against this amendment were saying, why would you do this to women? You don't support them when they do choose life, and that's clearly not true. Your program is one of many, and I'm glad we're highlighting it.
Yeah, and we are just one spot on the entire continuum. You have prevention and education at all ages. You've got the pregnancy help centers who are there and want to help with not only making a decision or discovering a pregnancy, but also parenting and all those meeting immediate needs. Ruth Harbor, then, I think, sits right there as a kind of the hospital after the emergency room, if you will, where if longer transitional housing is needed, or if in order to make a decision for life they need a place to go, then I think we're the answer. And then you've got the adoption agencies, and there's I could keep going. There's so many other groups that are plugging into what young women need, regardless of where they are in a timeline or their circumstances.
We have, I think, with us one of your former clients by the name of Hannah.
I hope we do. I don't know if we were able to connect with her or not.
I think we do have her. Hannah?
Oh, good.
I'm here.
Yeah, she's there. All right.
Oh, yay. Hi, Hannah.
Hannah, can you give us your story a little bit about what happened to you and what you're doing now?
So I found out I was pregnant in January of 2020, and like you guys were talking about, I didn't have anywhere to go, and my family and I kind of had a strained relationship at the time, just because of the choices that I had been making, so I wasn't able to stay with them. So my mom and I did a Google search and stumbled upon Ruth Harbor, and so I contemplated going and eventually decided to come here, and it was just not what I had expected. I kind of thought I was going to go in and just, figure out what I was going to do with the baby, and then I was going to go on with my life the way I had been living it, and it wasn't like that at all. I was totally transformed here, and so now I'm actually the house parent assistant at the Des Moines house. So kind of a cool little ending to that story.
Now, you say the Des Moines house. You have another location, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, Hannah works at the Des Moines house along with our lead house parents. And then we also have a home in Carlisle, which focuses on the mother-child portion of our program. And for many listeners around the world, frankly, will remember the first septuplets in the world, and that was the McCoy family. That has been 20 years plus now. And those children all went to college or went out and lived their lives, and so they became empty nesters all of a sudden about 3 or 4 years ago.
All at once.
And they said, Ruth, we want that home to be used for ministry. And they contacted us. We were already looking for a home. And the long story short is that we now have the septuplets home as part of the Ruth Harbor family home.
Oh, wow. What a beautiful story.
And you have a fundraiser upcoming, I think, in May sometime, don't you?
That's true, Mike. Everything you're talking about, Hannah's probably just one of many examples of the young women we serve. And we have a theme for a Walk for Life that is coming up. And the theme is called This Is Why We Walk. And Hannah is one of those wonderful reasons of why we walk, and the walk is designed to raise awareness and to raise funds for Ruth Harbor. And it's something we do annually, and it's on this year it'll be on our 20th anniversary, and that's coming up on Saturday, May 8th. It's the Saturday of Mother's Day weekend.
Okay,
so
that's appropriate. And you can find out more information about that at ruthharbor.org. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You
our
can also make
where they can.
You also make a donation there too, if you would.
Yep, they could walk and help us that way, or make a contribution. There's opportunities for volunteering, and if somebody lives out of state and they want to pray for us, we would value that. That's the cornerstone to our ministry. So there's all sorts of ways to be engaged. Out
of curiosity, how many of your clients come from the central Iowa area versus other areas of the state?
Great question. Hannah is originally from Creston. Only 50% of the women we serve come from Polk County, right here locally. The other 50% are from around the state and, frankly, around the nation, because people know that we're here. Maybe they have a relative or someone who's in the area and knows that about us. And some women, frankly, are trying to get out of maybe an abusive or a difficult situation. They actually need a different place in the different vicinity to be in, new friends, etc. So they'll come for that reason as well.
Now, if they go to listeners go to ruthharbor.org, I take it they can sign up for a newsletter or whatever you send out.
Yep, right on the front page, there's a place where they can sign up and receive our e-news that goes out about once a month, and learn more about the happenings. And of course, there's Hannah is one story of many, and there are little video clips of several of our young women who have been through our program. If people wanted to hear more Hannah stories, if I can say
we're going to have to cut it short here because we're running out of time. But Hannah, just real quickly, what can you tell us about how Ruth Harbor has changed your life?
Essentially, they helped me to decide whether I was going to parent or place, and they just really poured into me and just prayed over me and over my baby, and just really helped me to see that I was able to be a mom and to do better with my life. And so, yeah.
Well, God bless you, Hannah. I'm glad you made the right choice there. Mark, thank you for joining us today, and I hope your walk is a success and you continue for another 20. I hear a little baby there. Is that Hannah's child? Well, however old she is, she's been on the radio.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Mark. Certainly appreciate what you and your organizations do, and that's, again, for anybody who's interested in more information, ruthharbor.org.
We're honored to join you. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark McDougal, who is Executive Director of Ruth Harbor Ministries. And we're going to take a short break right now, and Gina and I will be back in about 3 minutes to do a wrap-up. You're listening to Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio.
Catholic Radio and Dowling Catholic Sports is provided in part by Ashworth Vision Clinic. With 2 licensed optometrists, Barbara Sheets, a Dowling graduate, and Dr. Craig Harper, the Ashworth Vision Clinic team provides complete eye exams, contact lenses, glasses, glaucoma testing, and pre- and post-operative care. Ashworth Vision Clinic is located at 60th and Ashworth in West Des Moines. 515-440-4610 or online, ashworthvision.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Catholic Women Now provided in part by Permar Security, providing security solutions for homes and businesses since 1953. Permar Security is a Catholic-owned family business supplying security systems, access control systems, video surveillance, fire alarm systems, and video doorbells. All alarm systems are monitored out of their monitoring center located in the state of Iowa. Permar Security, 515-244-5660, permarsecurity.com.
Thank you, Dental Associates, for underwriting Dowling Catholic Sports 365. With over 40 years' experience, Dental Associates is a group dental practice with the mission of promoting optimum health and well-being to all patients, providing preventative, restorative, and cosmetic dentistry for the entire family. Message underwritten by Dr. Kenton Gleichman, Dr. Steve Karbaka, and Dr. Ben Nagel. Dental Associates, addressing your smile, needs, and dreams. Online at DesMoines-DentalAssociates.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and John Leonetti in the morning is provided by Five Sons Naturescapes. Five Sons Naturescapes is a Catholic veteran-owned family company providing premium outdoor landscaping, clean up and restore outdoor living space with retaining walls, privacy fencing, pergolas, paver sidewalks, and patios. Issues with soil settling and water around the foundation and yard? Five Sons Naturescapes can grade and install drainage tile to help. Five Sons Naturescapes online at fivesonsnaturescapes.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Storm Alert Weather is provided by Divine Treasures. Divine Treasures is a Catholic book and gift store serving the Des Moines community for over 25 years. Their mission is to help Catholics know, love, and keep their faith in our Lord Jesus Christ and His Church. Divine Treasures is where you can find great Catholic books, beautiful Bibles, rosaries, jewelry, statues, and religious gifts for those memorable events in your life. Divine Treasures, 5701 Hickman Road, Des Moines, 515-255-5230. Thank you to Divine Treasures for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Faith on Trial provided by Paul Martin and Paul Mitchell, owners of Imogene Ingredients. Imogene Ingredients supply specialized feed ingredients for livestock and pet diets to improve maternal and young animal health in both conventional and organic production. Information about Pharmatan and other products at ImageneIngredients.com. Paul are members of St. Augustine's Knights of Columbus and encourage their brother knights to keep standing for their faith. And you're listening to Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio. And Gina, we had another interesting show today. Kind of went different ends of the pendulum.
Oh, my goodness.
Looking at what is happening.
The darkest side of our world. And
then people like Mark McDougal and Ruth Harbor and the great things that they do. I should mention, by the way, we're talking about Ruth Harbor, that they do have on that website, do have some volunteer opportunities, because I know they take their people to doctor's appointments and things like that. So they're looking for drivers and things like that. So
right, but it's not an instant process. They take an application and do background checks.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
They protect their clients very closely.
Right, and when I was visiting with Mark the other day, he was going through all the procedures. They took all the protocols during the virus and the pandemic.
I'm sure that was a unique obstacle for them.
Yeah, it was.
Good for them for overcoming it.
Yeah, so we went from the dark side with Georgia. Not that she was dark, but she was writing about dark things.
She follows some very dark things.
And
I have to
those
say,
are things that we've been following for a long time, too. And they keep popping up over and over and over again, and they come back in different forms, but it's all the same thing.
A lot of it. I mean, in reality, it's a microcosm of what we as people of faith are called to do, and that is to share the light. And I can't emphasize enough how wonderful it is that those parents stood up to protect their children in light of the opposition. It takes great bravery and it takes great sacrificial love to do those things. And as Christians, we're called to do that every day in society.
Right. And you do it one way or another, like Mark does it with Ruth Harbor, and the parents do it with challenging the school board. And those are things that we're required to do. Some of them are much easier to do than others. Some of them require a lot of effort, but we're required to do it. And, of course, our obligation here on this end is to make sure you're aware of it, I guess, because a lot of these things we talk about here, people will tell me later, I've never heard that. I didn't know that was going on. Yeah, it is, and it's going on right under our noses, and we're sometimes missing what is happening out there.
And to give hope, this show helps our parents or our defenders of the faith to understand that there are resources available to you in the form of alliances, associations, and
different legal, public service legal firms that come forward.
And not to mention what Georgia does with journalism, to be able to spread the message and shine light on these unnatural occurrences in our society.
It's kind of interesting. Since we've been back on the radio a little over a year. We went back on again.
Right in the middle of the pandemic.
Again, just as, in March of 2020. But, we focused a little bit differently sometimes. We're getting on more writers and authors and things like that. And because there's so much out there that it's tough to, cover it all. But we're doing our best to bring this information to the listeners so they can understand what's going on in our world, because if you just turn on the TV news or whatever, you're not always getting the full story on things. There are things, undercurrents here, and things that are below the radar that are happening that are going to have a very serious effect not only on the listener but on the children out there, just like Georgia was talking about in our first interview here.
Well, and she was very good at pointing out that these are, what is it, the analogy of the frog in the water boiling. It's these are stories that are small and isolated perhaps at the moment, but they just grow into something that determines our need to be aware of how our society is affecting or addressing people of faith.
That's right. There are a lot of challenges out there, and of course, we're just coming out of Easter, and we're in Easter time right now. So maybe it's time to kind of double down on what it is that we realize that we have to do, which is speaking up to defend the faith, to defend our religious beliefs, and to defend our families, most importantly.
Right. And the other thing that from this show that came to mind for me today is that Ruth Harbor, I think Mark pointed out very eloquently that Ruth Harbor is not an isolated mission or ministry for women who find themselves pregnant and feeling as if they have no choices or any help. And maybe we can highlight some more of those programs throughout our state and the country in terms of what we do as people of faith to help women who find themselves in these situations.
Yeah, shine the light on the bright areas sometimes, rather
because
than
I think we're led to believe that we're pro-life, but we don't do anything to help women who find themselves in that situation.
Right. But he's very right about that continuing. It starts up here at Intervisions, the help for people that are trying to make a decision on what they want to do, and it goes all the way through to people like Ruth Harbor that are assisting people that are having these unexpected problem pregnancies, and not only helping them make decisions, but helping them through the whole process right into parenting.
Right, and Hannah's a beautiful example of that.
Mm-hmm. And her little baby who was a guest on the program.
Cooing in the background, yes, I loved that.
I think we have to wrap up right now, so let's end with our prayer to St. Michael. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle, be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray, and do thou, Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. And for Gene and myself, thank you for listening, and join us next week for another edition of Faith on Trial. And until then, have a blessed and peaceful week.
Our freedom of conscience and religion is being challenged by laws and regulations imposed by secular society. Faith on Trial with Defender of the Faith, Deacon Mike Mano. Faith on Trial, Thursdays at 10 a.m. on Iowa Catholic Radio, iowacatholicradio.com, and the Iowa Catholic Radio app.
Support for Faith on Trial and Iowa Catholic Radio provided in part by Imogene Ingredients.